What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new interview from Gamer Section Live. And without further ado, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey there, guys. Firstly, thank you for inviting me for this interview. I'm Bobby. I'm Mr. Death. I'm the solo developer working on Mirrorforge, and Mirrorforge is a first-person psychological horror game. I've been in the game development industry as an indie game developer for almost 8 years. I've been working as a freelancer 3D artist for 8 years and a digital marketeer. And at the moment, I must say I'm a full-time solo developer and I'm an entrepreneur and investor.
So I definitely understand that. So the first question I definitely got to ask you is like, what was the first game that you played that made you fall in love with gaming?
Oh, it's a hard one. I've been playing games since I was like very little, like 1 year, maybe 2 years, because my father's a programmer, and I could say it was one of those games like maybe Doom or Blackthorn. Since I'm 30 years old, it was at that period that these games came out, something like that. So it's probably Doom. There's Duke Nukem. There's Half-Life 1 after that. So yeah, these games, probably Warcraft, the first Warcraft. Those are the first games that I played and I fell in love with, with games, but not game development. Game development came a little bit later in my life.
Wow, you just named some classic games, so I definitely feel you in on that. You heard me. So how did you get into game development though?
Well, I always wanted to create. I'm a creative person. I've written a book also besides game development in fantasy style. I love reading books. I love reading stories. I was a musician for 14 years. I was a singer and a guitar player, and that means like there's creativity and energy and so on. And I always loved like creating worlds, creating these characters and so on. And in my opinion, games are the best medium in a way. Like you get the visual, you get the audio, and you're the person who's in this story. You're doing the choices. So I think of all of these like mediums, like books and movies and so on. Games portray that the best way. So when I thought about it, I said, yeah, I want to be a game developer. I get to create worlds. I get to create characters and stories. And that's how I started. It was like I mentioned, like 7 or 8 years ago. I started with 3D modeling. So yeah, that's how I entered into game development.
Okay, so basically, you said you are a solo developer at this moment. Like, do you plan on down the road creating your own full-fledged studio, or just staying as a solo developer for right now?
Yeah, definitely. In the future, hopefully, I will have like more people who can help me with future games. I can say that I started Mirrorforge as a solo developer. I worked on Mirrorforge like for 8 months as a solo developer, doing everything basically. And then I got signed deal with DreadXP, the publisher. And at the moment, I have like a QA team. I have a marketing team. There's also concept artists. There's a programmer who helps me at the moment. So at the moment, I can't say I'm a solo developer. I already have a team backing me up, but that's just like recently, like 2 months ago. Everything started 2 months ago, but I've been working on this game like for 8 months now, or 9 months or something like that. So yeah, I'm no longer a solo dev for now. These are the guys who are helping me out, like to establish this dream.
And you just signed a deal, so you like Jim Jones. You're so like, so what inspired you to come up with the title for the game Mirrorforge? Like, what's the idea behind that?
That's an interesting question because I mentioned I'm a digital marketer too. I've been a digital marketer for 3 years before I started as a solo developer. And I know that marketing plays a huge part in sales, in everything in the world, not just games. But if you have a product, you need to have marketing. You need to know how to do marketing. So when I revealed this game, my first thought was, since this is not my first game, I've worked the previous game with another game developer like few years back. This is my first game as a solo developer, but I've worked on other games before. So for Mirrorforge, I had this idea like, if I'm gonna do this game is not for me. This game is not my baby. This game is my product. And I'm doing this game for those fans who love horror games. So it's up to the fans to decide the name. So for the name Mirrorforge, I did some research. Like for those who study marketing, probably will know like search engine optimizations and so on. I've checked which name resonates the best with the story, So I found like several names which can be good for the game, and these names were also good. Like in a way, if you type them on Google, there was nothing appearing on Google. That means that if I
Right,
have
right.
like a website or social media, everything will appear on the first page on Google. And I did
Okay.
like several surveys asking my community which name do you think sounds the best, which name would you like, and it ended up on Mirrorforge. So
Hmm.
Mirrorforge is part of the story, and it's also like good with the SEO score for marketing. So that's how I
Hmm.
came up with the Mirrorforge name.
Okay, dope, dope, dope. So prior to Mirror's Forge, like what other games you worked on? Because you did say that you worked on other games. Like, can you elaborate a little bit further on that?
Yeah, sure. So the first game I worked on was Alan Shop, and that
Hmm.
game was as I worked as a visual artist, and there was another guy who was a programmer. So
Hmm.
started working on this game. We worked on it for 6 years. It was also a horror game. The game did well.
Hmm.
Luckily, I can tell you this interesting story about Alan Shop. The thing is, I call this game my most successful failure. And why is that? Because I can say it's a successful. It's successful in a way. We released chapter one for the game, and it
Hmm.
sold like and we got five-figure sales. So basically, I
Okay.
could quit my job, I could become a full-time game dev, and so on. But failure because we never went past chapter one. We separated due to creative differences. We split
Hmm.
up and so on. So we ended up like everyone on their own path. So the IP
Hmm.
split between us. So yeah, that's the failure, but the success is the financial success. So that's how I can say that Alan Sharp helped me like to continue further on and develop my own games.
Hmm.
I also
Wow,
work
man.
yeah, I also work as a freelancer. Like I said, I'm a 3D artist. I work for clients around the globe, primarily US clients and UK clients. Worked
Hmm.
on RTS games, hyper casual games for mobile. But most of that work was mainly like, do 3D models and animations. I didn't do any
Hmm.
programming as a freelancer. So yeah, that's my experience in the game development area.
Okay, okay. I definitely feel you on that. Like I said earlier, like Jim Jones, you're balling. This man's got a lot of money. He's balling out there. You know what I'm saying? So, so with more Mirror's Forge, like, okay, give us the backstory. Like, what is the setting? Like, where does the game take place?
So the game takes place in 2023. So that's 1 year from now.
Hmm.
And what people who play the demo do not know is that the demo they played is actually a backstory. It's not the real story.
Oh,
The
okay.
demo was like probably hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes long,
Right,
and
right.
it tells the story of this troubled man. He's called Thomas, and I try
Hmm.
to implement like these things. Like spoiler alert, guys. In the demo, if you haven't played the demo, he loses the baby due to being drunk. He crashes his car. Things start
Hmm.
happening in the demo, so he's depressed. His girlfriend didn't die, but she's mad at him for losing the baby, and so on. So these things are in the demo, but the
Right.
real story, I already shared it on social media, has to do something with sci-fi science, with
Hmm.
parallel universes and Mesopotamian myths. So
Right,
I
right.
I started doing a lot of research, like how did I implement these Mesopotamian entities? The idea was there are a lot of demons and I don't know and devils in movies and books and so on, like from the Bible or from the Quran and so on. But
Hmm.
there are also like a lot of games with the Egyptian gods, but there were almost none with the Mesopotamian entities, and these entities are like the oldest of every other entity we know. So they're like they're mentioned in
Hmm.
history, in real history, like 4,500 BC, and
Hmm.
no one used them until now. So I said, like, I'm gonna use these, and I'm gonna implement the first civilization ever, the Sumerians. So
Hmm.
those appeared like I mentioned, like I don't know, 5,000 BC or something. So those
Right,
are
right.
like the first people. So I tried to implement everything into the story of Mirrorforge. That's the main story, but I can't speak too much about it. All I can say is that like Mirrorforge is basically science meets ancient Mesopotamian myths. in a
with
way. That's
horror.
that. Yeah.
Well, you definitely got some fans of the game. She come in to support, and Matt and everybody else in the chat. They are huge fans of the game. They was some of the people that I told them about, and they are ecstatic about the game. My good sir.
Thank you, guys. It means a lot. Especially as a solo indie developer, it means a lot to have that such feedback and positive energy from the people around the globe.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, like, what engine are you actually using to create this game, and why?
Mirror Forge is made in Unreal Engine 4. That's
Mm-hmm.
4.26. I started using Unreal like back in the day, like 8 years ago or 7 years ago, not really sure, when I worked on Alan Shop 2. I mainly used Unity for clients. I didn't use it like for my own games. And I think I fell in love with the engine because, especially with it provides you like these graphics even in the beginning, even when you start a new scene in Unreal, you get this great lighting, great colors, and everything. And it's
Mm-hmm.
far easier like that to, I don't know, to tweak and do a lot of different stuff. That's why I decided to go with Unreal Engine. And I can say that probably due to my experience with it, I just stick with Unreal Engine. That's why I designed it in Unreal Engine. But
Mm-hmm.
I thought a lot about moving Mirror Forge to Unreal Engine 5. So I don't know if you've seen like on YouTube or so, but Unreal Engine 5 is a masterpiece. You can create very
Yeah.
real environments. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem is I have this thought like I already finished half the game, and now if I migrate, if I copy it to Unreal Engine 5, there might be a lot of issues since it's a different version, and I don't want to risk it. And I said, like, I'm going to finish this game in Unreal Engine 4, and I'm going to do the next one probably in UE5. So that's
Yeah,
the
but
main choice.
yeah, because most likely it's going to sell well, and then there's going to be a sequel to it. So it got to be a sequel, so it's going to
Yeah,
switch over to Unreal Engine 5. So I think it'd be a balance of both. So I definitely
yeah.
feel you that, you know. So like within Mirror's Forge, like who is the protagonist in the game? Give us a glimpse of the backstory of the protagonist.
Yeah, so the protagonist is Thomas Jackson. He's just how do I say something without spoiling it? Thomas Jackson is a defenseless everyman who had just lost his job. He lost his
Mm-hmm.
baby to being drunk and so on. That's the backstory of the demo, and he feels depressed. He tried to commit. I don't know if I should say it on YouTube, probably due to algorithm, but you know what I
I would just
mean.
say I say just commit double F. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. So he tried to do that, and at the beginning of the full game, he receives this found footage of his girlfriend with whom he lost contact like 2 years ago because they broke up and everything. She's mad at him.
Right.
He gets this found footage where Jill, who is a journalist, she visits this place called Devil's Womb Canyon, and there she does like an interview, like a live podcast in a way. I don't know how to say it, like a she's telling about three buses full of students disappearing in the middle of the night, and there are no traces where the buses went. And
Mm-hmm.
in this found footage, he sees like a blue explosion that consumes like the entire screen. So he's terrified of losing Jill, and he went on to look for her. That's
Mm-hmm.
like the backstory. The main story I can't speak too much because I'm gonna spoil something. It's part of the full game, but all I can say is for the demo, I tried to implement this protagonist as a person that people can relate with. Like these things that happen to him, it can happen to everyone in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a huge lover of epic stories like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and so on. And I wanted to implement this epic story. And I
Right.
did that in the full game with the Mesopotamian gods. And there's a massive revelation and secret for the main protagonist, which will be found in the full game.
Okay, very interesting, very interesting. So I did read about and come across this game that it has some open world elements. Is it like a fully open world? That's the one part of the question. And like, what type of side missions, without spoiling too much, that are actually in the game?
So Mirror Forge, I can say that there are parts which are semi-open world. There's this map which is fully open world, like 5.5 kilometers map, 5 by 5, sorry, and there are a lot of like also closed areas. If you've played the demo, you know that there are like closed areas, but this open world map is like a huge map where the character travels from one place to the town of Gorberg. So he visits the entire countryside, and along the way he finds different things, because he will find a footage where Jill is being taken by a squad of soldiers, and they're taking her somewhere. So he finds clues like, where are they taking her? This is the clue. I'm gonna have to look for her. So you find clues, and there at the moment there are like 25 or maybe 30 monsters in the game, all sorts of different monsters, and you're gonna have every single monster will be in the open world map. So the idea is to get to the town of Gorberg while you're looking for Jill, and along the way there will be different things, like you will find what happened to the world there, because you're in a parallel dimension. So there's a story, I think that's also in the demo, which says like 80% of population on planet Earth vanished in the night instantly. You don't know what happened, and ever since then planet Earth is into eternal twilight. So it's like darkness. It's night all the time. There's no day. So, but this is in the parallel dimension. It's not in our real world. So you don't know what's happening. You know that there are monsters all around. You know that Jill's kidnapped, and you're looking for her. So that's the point of the open world map. So that it's not like side quests. It's not like an RPG. It's mainly like the horror is the primary part. How do I say it? Primarily, the main element of the game. So as you travel in the open world map, I did some changes. There was a question I just received on Twitter like a few minutes ago. They asked me like, do we now have weapons in Mirrorforge? Because there weren't weapons in Mirrorforge.
And that was one of the questions that I was actually going to
ask. Yeah, so as you know, there are no weapons in Mirrorforge. You can't fight back. But I had this idea to use. You have this ancient artifact you find. So this artifact you can use in two ways. The first way is you can find these lightning orbs found all around the map, all around the different maps, and you can click the mouse and it sends a blue blast wave, and this blast wave reveals a figure of light which will tell you a backstory, what happened to this person before he died. Like the moments before he died are frozen in time and space. That's the first usage of it's called the Seal of Nur. The second usage is in the open world environment. If you meet like these spider babies, and there are depression monsters, all sorts of like small monsters, you can use the artifact to stun them, not to kill them, but stun them. So the last video I put on my social channels is, as you can see, you send the blast wave and they're all bursting in flames. They're not dying, but they will be frozen like for a few seconds, giving you enough time just to run away, you know? So that's the main idea. You're not killing them, you're just stunning them so you can escape.
Okay, and to answer the question from Bitterbug, she asked, is there a horror in the game? Is this a horror game? And yes, it has horror elements in the game. You know, so yeah, it definitely have horror elements definitely in the game. So next question I have to ask, like, okay, Mirror Forge, it basically have some puzzles to solve in the game. So give us a glimpse without spoiling too much. We don't want to spoil too much because gamers got to play this game to really understand the gratitude of this game. So like, what kind of puzzles should we actually expect in the game?
For the puzzles, I'm aiming to do something not too hard and not too easy. So the QA team at Dread XP are doing constant testing. So I want to appeal both to people who love puzzles and those who don't. So the puzzles aren't that hard, but mainly the puzzles include, like, there are different puzzles. Like you can find a key code, you can use physical item to interact with and do something. Like in the demo, you're carrying these antimatter batteries to put them just to power up the engine. That's another puzzle. There's a third puzzle where you can find like different torn pieces of a paper, of a papyrus actually from Mesopotamia. So you gather these papers just to bring them together to reveal the mystery. So the puzzles aren't that hard. They are like in a medium level difficulty. Like I said, I want people to enjoy the game, not just to get stuck on the puzzles. I've noticed, like in the demo, there were some people who got stuck on some puzzles, and I took the feedback. Like I was watching the streamers play it, and I immediately changed those puzzles to make them easier, you know? So the point is for the people to enjoy the story of Mirror Forge, not like to overthink puzzles and so on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I got another question, right? Before I even get into the question, you feel me? We gotta go back into the chat, okay? Britta Bug, she blowing up the chat. She is ecstatic about the game. You see what you did though, man? You basically got a huge fan of the game now. See what you did, man? Yeah, man. So, next question, okay? So, like with the main story and stuff like that, it's based on choices. So, like, give us kind of a little bit of details on choices. Like, what type of choices you make? Like, does it have the every bad action has consequences, and or every good deed reaps its reward type of choices? Like, what type of choices that you have in the game?
Yeah, there are different choices, and I did a lot of surveys with the community about this part.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be multiple endings, like 4 different endings, and those endings will depend on what you do throughout the game. For example, I took inspiration from Silent Hill 2. Like in
Okay.
Silent Hill 2, there's like even in the beginning of the game, if you inspect the photo you have in your inventory, you will get a different
Mm-hmm.
ending. That's like even in the beginning of the game. So I have these subtle choices you find throughout the game, and they will like if you do something else, it will bring you a different ending. That's one of those choices. So you have 4
Mm-hmm.
different endings. Another interesting thing is throughout the entire game there are these statues of this ancient entity which you can destroy, and there's like I don't know, probably 10 or 11 different like statues throughout the entire game, and it's up to you to decide whether you will destroy them or not. And in the end, if the game will see how many statues have you destroyed, and depending on a particular number, it will give you a different boss in the ending. So it will be a boss fight in a way in the ending, and the boss will be different depending on how many statues you've destroyed. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like you will have to fight probably one boss or maybe the other boss depending on how many statues you destroyed. That's the
Mm-hmm.
second how to say element of replayability in the game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, definitely feel that. Definitely feel that. So, like, I already asked you the weapons question, so I ain't gotta ask that no more. You already gave the answer. So, like, the next question is like, do you plan on putting out like some DLC after the game's release, or are you planning on just moving on from this game for the sequel?
Still haven't decided about DLC. I mean, it's up to the publisher because in the agreement it says everything has to go as the publisher says in a way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't discussed about the DLC. I can't reveal too much. It's still too early, but we have discussed about something. How do I say it? About a new project set in the Mirror Forge universe. I can say
Oh.
it. I can just reveal that, yeah. And another thing I also mentioned on my social channels is I'm writing a book for Mirror Forge set in the Mirror Forge universe. So I plan on building this entire Mirror Forge brand, you know, with everything, with books and games and merchandise, and hopefully in the future maybe there will be some visual like movies and so on. Hopefully.
It's after this game starts selling and stuff like that, it's going to turn into a whole full fledged franchise. So it's obvious that it's going to happen.
Thank you,
Obviously.
man. I sincerely hope so. Yeah. Well, our first steps after the release of the game will be obviously just to see the feedback of the players, try to fix if there are any bugs. I mean, bugs can always be there. You know, we can test it like 100 times, and there will always be some bug which is hiding out there in the
Mm-hmm.
background. So the goal here is to fix if anything pops up, to do localization on other languages. That's also part of the post release phase.
Mm-hmm.
Add like hopefully add like different platforms, like I don't know, different like consoles maybe. So yeah, those are the plans for post launch.
Most definitely, most definitely. So, like, is this single player only, or do you have some multiplayer elements to the game?
The game is designed to be single player only, so there's no
Mm-hmm.
multiplayer elements. Yeah, but we're discussing with the publisher about future projects. Hopefully, to maybe it will have multiplayer or not. I can't say anything.
Okay, I understand it. I understand that. So, I have the multi-billion-dollar question, and I always ask a lot of game developers. So, here it goes. All right, this is basically what I like to call a presentation type of question. Like, Why should people want to buy this game day one?
Because it will terrify them and it will fulfill their needs for sci-fi and
Mhm.
parallel universes and a story that immerses you into this new different
Mhm.
world of horror and
Absolutely.
mystery. And it's a combination of all these elements of like psychological horror, survival horror, and people
Mhm.
who love science fiction. You have everything in Mirror Forge.
Most definitely. I definitely feel that. And Britta Bug Gaming said yes, please. She's ecstatic about the game.
Thank you very much. I can't wait to watch all of you guys play it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the next question is like, when will this game release, and what platforms will it be on?
So, like I said, it will be released in English language on PC primarily, and in post launch we'll do like consoles and different languages and so on. The release date previously it was planned for September the 30th, like that's like maybe a month away from now. But
Hmm.
we will probably postpone the game. Not really sure, but it will definitely be released until the end of the year. Uh, the
Hmm.
main thing not to have like any confusion, so it's not because of bugs or anything. The main idea is adding more content for the players. That's why we're postponing the game. We want players to enjoy this new world we are creating, so that's
Okay.
why we're postponing it.
Okay. Most definitely. Most definitely. To answer your question, Britta Bug, yes, there's demos available on Steam as we speak for the game. So if you want to try it out, go to Steam, type of Mirrors Forge, and enjoy the game. Enjoy the demo. You know what I'm saying? I know she wanted to live streaming it, so you got a big fan, man.
Yeah, one thing I would say is if you're playing a demo, don't trust the paintings and don't trust the mirrors.
There you go. There you go. So, like the final question is like, where can they find you at on social media so they could bug you about the game?
You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. You can find me on
Mhm.
YouTube. So I'm on every social media. Besides Mirrorforge, I also share content about game development if you're interested of being a game developer and digital marketing. So you can find me on every social media you can think of.
Right, right, right. For sure, for sure. Make sure y'all go ahead and follow them on all social medias. Harass them about the game spam. We want the game now so they can work on. So you can work on the game. Andrew Tuckerworth said from the trailer, yes, horror sci-fi. Wow, this trailer is wow. Got it. You just gained another fan already. See.
Thank you very much. Yeah, for this trailer was done by me like a few
Mm,
months back, but we're at the moment we're working on a new trailer for Mirrorforge because
mm,
Mirrorforge has changed so much in the past couple of months that I can freely say that even the demo on Steam doesn't have a lot of things which would be in a full game. The demo on Steam is like 1 hour and 40 or maybe 50 minutes to play. It's like it's very long demo. It has a lot of story, but there are a lot of new features and open world environments in the full game, and I
mm.
hope the players will love them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there you have it, folks. This has been a great, fantastic interview we just had with Bobby, Mr. Developer. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all go check out Mr. Mirror Forge. It's about to be a lit one when it actually becomes available. It's going to be on Steam, PC, basically at the end of the year. It's going to come to consoles later. So y'all definitely stay tuned, man. And also, y'all will definitely see this game at the Summer Indie Game Fest in June for sure. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the post notification bell for when we drop these videos. You dig? We out. Peace.